Sniffer. There were two things that Sniffer always had, a purple silk handkerchief and a cold. That was why he was called Sniffer, because his cold made him sniff all the time. One Thursday, Sniffer was going to market near Dublin in Ireland. He wanted to buy some vegetables for supper. I wish I had more money to buy meat for a change. My wife's forgotten what meat tastes like. I'd love to cook some for her, he sighed. After walking a few more miles, he heard a strange sound from behind a hedge. He peeped through it and saw a small man sitting on the ground, mending a shoe. Sniffer looked at the man and suddenly realized that he was a leprechaun. Sniffer immediately remembered his grandmother's advice. If you see a leprechaun, catch hold of him, she had said. Don't let go, and don't take your eyes off him for a second, or he'll be off with a laugh and a tickle. Ask him where his pot of gold is buried, and he'll have to tell you. So Sniffer waited until the leprechaun reached into his bag for another nail. Then he made his move. Gotcha, he called, as his hand tightened around the leprechaun's arm. He was surprised that the leprechaun just laughed. Ah, that's caught me well and good, so it has, he giggled. To be sure, you've got the better of me. Yes, replied Sniffer, a little uneasily. Now I want your pot of gold. Well, if you just let go of my arm, I'll lead you to it. Sniffer started to loosen his grip, then remembered his grandmother's warning not to let go. I know what you're up to, he said, and he held on even more tightly. Well now, if you aren't the smartest lad in Ireland, said the leprechaun. I reckon you're so smart that you'd always help a beautiful girl in trouble. Of course I would, said Sniffer. Well, there's one behind you who's being chased by a ferocious bull, said the little man, pointing over Sniffer's shoulder. Sniffer was about to turn around when he again remembered this advice his grandmother had given him, not to look away. You little pickle, said Sniffer, staring at the leprechaun even harder. Now it's gold time. The leprechaun started out across the field, trying without success to wriggle himself free. By now, Sniffer was sniffing quite a bit, because he hadn't been able to blow his nose while holding on to the leprechaun. Eventually, they arrived in the middle of a huge field of beautiful poppies. It's under this poppy, said the leprechaun, pointing to one. Dig down deep, and you'll find the gold. I just need to go and get a spade, said Sniffer. How will I know which is the right flower when I get back? I'll wait here and tell you, the leprechaun replied, his eyes growing brighter. I'm not falling for that, said Sniffer. At this point, he decided to blow his nose. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the purple silk handkerchief. Then a thought came to him. Tie this handkerchief to the poppy, Sniffer said. The leprechaun did as he was told. Promise me that you won't take it off. Cross your heart and hope to die, or whatever leprechauns say. I promise, said the leprechaun. Right, said Sniffer. Then he let go of the leprechaun and ran off to his house. When he got back to the field, he saw that the leprechaun had not removed the silk handkerchief. What he had done was tie identical handkerchiefs to all the other poppies in the field. It would take years to dig under all of them. Oh, cabbage, said Sniffer. But at least he now had hundreds of silk handkerchiefs. He gathered them all together and put them in the bag he brought for the gold. He then went to the market, where simply by selling 3 of the silk handkerchiefs, he was able to earn enough money to buy a nice piece of meat and some vegetables, which he cooked for his wife that night, and he still had hundreds of silk handkerchiefs left, which was not to be sniffed at.